Hello and welcome to Forever Sydney and Graceful Whispers. This is a video I have been wanting to do for such a long time, and what better time to release it than at the Virtual Doll Convention during Tonner Fest, where we are celebrating everything Robert Tonner dolls and also everything dolls. We're having such a great time, and this is a very exciting time for Grace Marie Fitzpatrick doll collectors because we are just before our launch of our 2023 collection. If you are new to Grace dolls, then you're going to learn a lot in this video. If you're not new, you're going to absolutely love it and maybe learn a little something and see something that you didn't know before. But I know a lot of us watching have been with me and us through the entire journey of the Grace doll, which goes back all the way to 2019 and then our release in 2020, our first release of our very first doll. And here we are in 2023 releasing more, and I hope we keep releasing more and more and adding more and doing more. So this is just a beautiful time, and I am so excited that you are here with me. So I want to talk about Grace from the beginning. And if we're going to talk about Grace from the beginning, Grace didn't start as Grace Marie Fitzpatrick. She started as Sydney Chase, one of the most beautiful sculpts that Robert Tonner has ever done, in my opinion. I think Sydney Chase is one of the most iconic and beautiful dolls from the Tyler Wentworth line. Robert Tonner released Sydney Chase as a friend of Tyler Wentworth, and Sydney Chase became incredibly popular. He released her in tons of different outfits, so many different times, and she is absolutely stunning. So we're going to read a little bit about Sydney Chase. We are also going to read a statement from Robert Tonner about Sydney Chase and see some incredible photos from Dolldom Photography. The Tyler Wentworth collection was introduced in 1999 and quickly gained popularity among doll collectors for its high quality craftsmanship and elegant fashion designs. Sydney Chase is portrayed as a sophisticated and fashionable young woman with a keen sense of style. Throughout the years, Robert Tonner has released various versions of the Sydney Chase doll, each with its own unique outfits and accessories. The doll's clothing reflects contemporary fashion trends and showcases Tonner's attention to detail and exquisite design aesthetic. The Sydney Chase doll, along with other dolls in the Tyler Wentworth collection, has become highly sought after by collectors due to their beauty, collectability, and the artistic design of Robert Tonner. We are very fortunate to have a Sydney Chase doll here in the shop. This is the beautiful Sydney Chase that we have here in the shop. The Grace Marie Fitzpatrick doll is the Sydney Chase sculpt, which we are so incredibly fortunate to have this sculpt available and to have her reimagined as Sydney, but it's no secret. The Sydney Chase doll is, I put that out there right away to let everybody know that this is a doll that was using a sculpt that Robert did, a very iconic sculpt. So look at this beautiful doll. And it's amazing how a little bit of change in the makeup can completely change a face. It really, really can. The biggest thing that differentiates Sydney that I say from Grace is the eyebrows. The eyebrows are a lot thinner on Sydney Chase, and that can really help as well with telling the difference. But we'll show them up close. But here is our beautiful Sydney. So our next clip and montage of photos, again, was shot by Ernesto from Dolldom Photography. Absolutely beautiful. He has been a fan of Sydney Chase for as long as when she came out. So this was a labor of love for our wonderful Ernesto, and I just love his photos. They're just incredibly artistic. And he got this quote from Robert Tonner. In 1999, Tyler Wentworth completely changed the Tonner Doll Company. She was definitely a success, and my goal was to build her world as fast as I could. I had always known that to keep her interesting, I would have to expand the line with interesting characters. Tyler needed a best friend, but unlike Barbie's Midge, I wanted her friend to be every bit of a high fashion and glamorous doll as she was. I set out to sculpt her head, and with the thought in mind that she would be very beautiful, but entirely different looking than Tyler. It was a difficult sculpt to do, and it took quite a while. Finally, when I thought I was happy with the result, I proceeded with the costly molding process, waxwork, engineering, and rotational mold making. Eventually, the day came when her head in vinyl arrived, and I couldn't wait to get her painted. Boy, was I disappointed. I couldn't see her beauty. All I saw was what I considered flaws, and I came very close to rejecting the head. I'm so glad I didn't. With a few new face paints, better ones, and the collector reaction, she became one of my all-time favorite fashion dolls. So the blog that Ernesto did was in 2021, and that was to celebrate Sydney Chase's 20th anniversary. So she has been an iconic doll for a very long time. And of course, in 2021 is when we met Ernesto, and that changed the course of our virtual doll convention in the photos that we did indefinitely, because it was such a change. I used to stress and struggle so much getting the photos here. I did a pretty good job of it. Diana Viding did a wonderful job editing them, but it didn't compare to Ernesto's. So throughout this video, you're going to see a lot of Ernesto's work, and I am very grateful to him from Dolldom Photography. So thank you so much, Ernesto. So now that we have learned about our beautiful Sydney Chase doll, that brings us to the whole Grace experience. So in 2019, I called Robert Tonner. I sent him a message and said, hello, I'm Rachel from the Virtual Doll Convention. I would love to chat with you about possibly collaborating and doing a doll together. He called me back immediately, and we started talking. As you heard in Robert's last quote, that the mold making process is extreme. It takes a long time, and it can be very, very expensive. And so we needed a doll for the Virtual Doll Convention, and I was on a tight timeline. I needed a doll within 6 months, and I was hoping for even like 3 to 4 months. It was crazy. I didn't know really what I was doing. It was my first time venturing into manufacturing. It was my first time having a doll made for me, for something that I was doing, a limited edition doll. So I have learned so much over the years. But what Robert and I decided to do, because at this point Robert had closed Robert Tonner doll, and he was kind of in limbo, not doing a whole. He was working on things, but he wasn't doing anything major or big or concrete. And so we decided that he was going to reach out to his factory and see what molds were available. He had, I think it was around 5 or 6 different molds. Now this was hard for me because I was looking at the different molds and looking at the different faces, and so many of them that I saw online, he had released all different times, and they had all different makeup, and so it was hard to know what my doll would look like if I chose a sculpt and we did new makeup. So what we decided to do, and this was after I corresponded with some of my friends that were Robert Tonner collectors, some of my friends in the doll business industry that had sold Robert Tonner dolls in the past, and said, hey, these were really popular, these were not as popular, this one collectors loved. And I decided to do the Sydney Chase mold. And it was such a beautiful thing that he had this mold, because again, she was such a gorgeous doll. And then we decided what kind of makeup she was going to have. So the makeup that I gave Robert for reference was all Princess Catherine of Wales. And at the time she was known as Kate Middleton. And she, to me, is one of the most beautiful women that I have ever seen in my life. Her style is gorgeous. Her makeup always looks beautiful. Her hair is beautiful. Everything about her is beautiful. She is incredibly elegant, just so warm, and just the perfect, she's going to be the perfect queen. She's the perfect princess. And I love everything about her. I really do. I think she's just phenomenal. If you ever hear her speak or talk to children, she is somebody that I definitely look up to myself. And so she is what I sent to Robert. I said, in her style, in her makeup, in her hair, please, as much as you can, make this doll, Grace Marie Fitzpatrick, look and feel like the beautiful Princess Catherine. And he did. He did. It was an incredible thing that happened, and Robert started sending me factory photos and factory samples, and I started to get very nervous because this was my first time ordering and spending this much on a modern manufactured doll ever in my life. At the time, my mom was going through her disease with Alzheimer's, and I could not ask her, and I could not see what she thought and what she felt, and it was a very confusing and also scary time for me, and I didn't know quite what I was doing, but I had a lot of faith in what I was doing. I had so much faith in my people out there, in the customers, in the doll world, and in Robert Tonner, and also in the doll. I knew, I could see it. I could see the end result, even though it was, I spent so many nights just looking and thinking, but I knew I had to do this. So I was afraid about the money. And one of the things that I did, which, comment if you were one of these people, because I know a lot of you are out there, I released the doll. I did a pre-sale for the doll without pictures. I just did a pre-sale for the doll with her sculpt, because at that time, we did not have a ton of money to spend on the doll. We were in between things. We were figuring out things. We were not in a flow or in a rhythm. And I needed to get some of the money in so that I could pay half down to start the production of the doll, which I did that, but I needed to get the ball rolling, but I didn't have photos. I didn't even know what I was doing, but we did it. And I did a pre-sale for the doll based off of Robert's sketches. I didn't show you what the doll looked like. It's nothing like the experience now, where you get to see unboxings and beautiful photos and videos and get our opinion, get Allison's opinion, get Christopher's opinion. There was none of that. I put up a sketch and I said, we have these dolls coming, buy one if you want to, please buy one. And you did. We sold out the entire edition before the dolls even arrived. It was incredible. It was amazing. And through the process of getting the photos and sharing about her new body and sharing about everything that was happening, I did something that I think a lot of people have, I don't even know if anyone has ever done this in the past, but I shared everything. I shared the behind the scenes of what happened. I shared the fuzzy, ugly factory photos where no one is ever supposed to see them except for maybe me and Robert. And I posted those on videos and I put it on the internet. I wouldn't do it the same way now. I think over the years I have perfected my style. Not perfected, I'm always working on it, but I have definitely found a rhythm to the way that I like to release dolls and to create a build. But at the time I was just going with my gut. So we put out the Grace Marie Fitzpatrick doll, and she arrived at our shop in January of 2020. And I'm going to put up photos of where my dad was helping me get these dolls in the store. It was an incredible moment to be bringing these dolls in the store, and I still had never opened one. I remember opening the first box of the doll, holding my breath, and just saying a little prayer and hoping that they looked like what I had seen, which I knew was beautiful. And I opened her up, and Linda was there, and I said, Linda, they're gorgeous. And she looked at them and she said, oh, they're gorgeous. And that was the first doll. And we went and we did a video, and they were already pre-sold at that point. And so we started shipping them like crazy people, and we got them all out. We had one return because somebody was disappointed and didn't know that it was the Sydney sculpt, which I didn't hide that fact or anything. But I think that person thought it was going to be a brand new sculpt. We couldn't do a brand new sculpt because of the process, the time. There were so many things involved. When you want to do a new sculpt, you better be planning out a couple years in advance. And I wanted some dolls in 6 months, and Robert delivered, and we had Grace. And she is the number one Grace, which we kind of talk about her kind of like number one Barbie, but the number one Grace still is and always will be my favorite. So we're filming, and as you know, I'm a working mama, and our sweet Holland Diane just woke up from her nap. She doesn't have pants on, but that's okay. And she's here. So we're gonna make it through the rest of our Sydney and Grace video with our wonderful Holland Diane as well. Holland Diane, and she came up.
Shoes.
There's her little shoes. But when we released our Grace doll, I know there's a lot of people out there who understand and appreciate that I'm a working mama, and I want to thank you so much for all of your encouragement along the way. But when we released the Grace doll, that was way before we had whispers of our Holland Diane. Huh? Not too long, but a little bit. So now we're going to look at some of the Grace dolls that we have released over the years. We have not had a release for a while, and that's why this is just so anticipated and so exciting right now. So we are having some new Grace dolls. It's been so long. In fact, I am a little sad. I don't know how it's gonna go with the sales of them, but I don't feel like we have enough. I feel like we could have had more. I spoke to Robert. I spoke to Robert a few days ago and said, we need another wigged doll. The dolls we have coming out right now are, a rooted doll, because the ones we have coming out are wigged. And we have only done 2 rooted Graces. But let's take a look at the first Grace doll, who we affectionately refer to as number 1. And we're not trying to make a play off of Barbie. She was the first Grace doll, so that's just what collectors have called her. Now, of course, when the first Grace doll came out, she was wearing a plaid outfit, which you're going to see in the photos, but and that was her first look. Robert said that he felt kind of constrained with her because I had said that I wanted her to be like Kate Middleton, so he didn't feel like he had as much creative freedom. But after that conversation, I said, Robert, no, I didn't mean to make you feel that way. Please use all the creative freedom that you want and have on the dolls. He really, really, really wanted to get it right on the first one, and he did. This is number 1. She right now is wearing this ridiculous flower in her hair. Let me take that out. But the hair is absolutely incredible. She has green eyes, and you're gonna see some photos. And of course, please post your photos if you're watching this. But this is the number 1 Grace. Her makeup, everything about her was absolutely perfect. And the hair is just phenomenal. You can brush it, and do different things, and it just goes back. This is a number 1 Grace who is wearing one of our Club Grace outfits, which we will talk about later. Yes, we started an entire club for our wonderful doll, and she's great. The first Grace dolls did not have, well, several of them did not have painted hands or toes. And I thought Robert did that on purpose because Catherine always has very, very, very natural nails. She always has a natural manicure. It is extremely rare that you see her with red or painted nails, but I love a manicure. I love a red manicure. So I am excited that the latest Grace dolls do have that, but this is the number 1. I have seen them sell for as much as $800 on eBay mint in box. I feel kind of bad about that sometimes because I'm like, oh my gosh, like that is so much money, but they are rare and they will never come out again. So that was a fun peek at the number 1 Grace dolls. The number 1 Grace dolls are rare, and they continue to be one of my favorite dolls that we have ever produced ever. A lot of it is just the memories tied to it and the amount of growth that I had with the release and learning so much about doing what I do now. I'll never, of course, regret those days, but it was definitely a time of my life that I will never forget, and it was incredibly difficult in so many ways and also incredibly exciting and wonderful. It started us off on what we're doing now, which has just been such an incredible journey. So after the number 1 Grace dolls, we had 2 basics. Robert Tonner called them Amazing Grace, and I remember when they arrived, I had no idea what a basic even was. I had no idea that they were wigged, or that I knew that they weren't going to have clothes on because he told me that much, but I didn't know that they were wigged. So I thought that they were rooted hair. So I remember when they arrived, I was like so shocked, and I called Robert and I said, I thought these were going to be rooted, and I'm like, but we don't have wigs. And it was this like whole thing, and I thought all of my customers were going to be so upset and cancel all their orders, but people, they knew. A lot of you out there knew, and then a lot of the people that found out that they were wigged were excited, and we had no cancellations over that. So that was really, really good. I was really, really relieved about that. And then we had our Deluxe Grace. Our Deluxe Grace is so wonderful. When I opened her out of the box and I saw her makeup for the first time, I saw a little bit, but I didn't, for this particular doll, I did not see a lot of the photos. A lot of the stuff that was happening with this doll is when I was going through a really rough time with my mom and dealing with grief and all kinds of things. And so Robert, he had actually emailed me while a lot of this was going on, and he said, "Do you just want me to handle it?" And I said, please just handle it, Robert. You don't have to ask my opinion. Just do what you do your job, and thank you so much for doing that. So Robert handled it, and he handled it so well. This doll, when you first unbox her, her hair, in my opinion, needs to be brushed out because it has a lot of product in it, and it is very slicked down to give her a very slick runway vibe. But when you brush it out, it's wonderful. What I love about these long-haired rooted hair dolls is that you really can just go with the brush and play with the curls and play with the hair, and it just goes back, and it is wonderful. So this doll, her outfit is just unbelievable. It reminds me of when Gwyneth Paltrow walked the red carpet when she had that beautiful caped dress on. I think it was a pink dress, but she looks like Ariel coming out of the water at the end of The Little Mermaid. It's shimmery, it's wonderful. It has a high slit, fabulous shoes. Again, we still had not gotten to the point where we were painting the nails and the toes, and I thought that Robert had done that on purpose, but he didn't until we asked him. But the new dolls have it. But the Deluxe Grace is wonderful. Let me know if you have her. She was just... I thought for a minute people might not like her fierce makeup because it's a much older, not much older, but it is a more mature look than the other Grace dolls. But I absolutely love it, especially if you're a doll collector and you want to change your collection up a bit and you want your dolls to have a different look depending on the different clothes that they wear. It's perfect. So Deluxe Grace, we love to show her in, also known as the Showtime Grace. We love to show her in some of our more sultry looks. I mean, she's got, look at her makeup. She's wearing a lot. Some days I wear this much, some days I wear way more, some days I wear way less, but I think that the makeup is wonderful. Again, she has the thick brows, which is how you can tell she is a Grace. Now, yeah, they all say this because it is the Sydney sculpt. But if you're a collector, you'll be able to tell just by looking at the face and the makeup. So that is our Deluxe Showtime Glamour Girl. We released a lot of Grace dolls in a very short period of time. Later that year, we had our last release, which are two, again, basic dolls, but I was starting to learn what basic even meant, and I knew that a basic doll meant it generally had a wig, which meant we needed to release wigs. So in December of 2020, we released that was our last release of Grace in December of 2020. Isn't that crazy? We did a wonderful event to benefit 3 charities in the name of my mother. This was my public memorial to my mom. We put on a beautiful, beautiful event, a Christmas pageant, and it was just one of the highlights of what was an incredibly difficult year for so many of us in 2020. It aired in 2020. And we had 2 basic Grace dolls. This release was so much fun. I remember everything about it. I remember wearing the red dress, the gingerbread house, all the fun things that we did. And our 2 basic Grace dolls, they were anything but basic, but we called them Everything and Aspen. I called her Everything because she was everything I thought we wanted in a Grace doll. Here she is. She had green eyes and a beautiful red wig, and Diana Vining wrote the description for her. I can't remember if we did pre-sales or not for her, but I remember that they sold out right away. We also had a beautiful Christmas dress in red sequins that Robert had designed special for that event, and Robert just did so much for us, got us these dolls in a short period of time, and it was amazing. The Christmas dress, we don't have it. We have it out sometimes. It's very rare. We have had a couple outfits over the years that Robert designed. We had the Palais Garnier outfit, and then we had the Christmas soiree dress. But this doll was wonderful, and she is the Everything Basic Grace. So again, you can tell because it was the first time we released one with green eyes. She had brown eyes up until then, and red hair. And then our Everything Grace I'm sorry, our Aspen Grace. I called her Aspen because she was going to originally come with an outfit that was for skiing in Aspen. That outfit did come out, but it came out later. It came out much later during our club, but the Club Grace. But she was called Aspen Grace because she has these beautiful, beautiful Colorado sky blue eyes, and she is just absolutely gorgeous. She had a red wig, this a brown wig. This is the curly girl wig, but it's actually pretty similar in color, but it was the same long style. And she is just absolutely beautiful. So you can tell her by these beautiful, beautiful blue eyes. So as collectors, again, we like to have different variations, and we like to do different things with our Grace dolls. And let me know. There's a lot of you out there that are watching that have one of everything. And one of Grace's biggest fans is Melissa Turner in Australia, and she knows more about them, I feel like, than I do half the time, because she is constantly posting their pictures and their chronological order and the edition number. Sometimes I can get a little confused too. Robert definitely gets confused, and I don't blame him. When you have released so much, they kind of start blending together. Now, I'm not implying that we have released so many Grace dolls that I get them confused, but I sometimes do. But this is Aspen, and she is beautiful. So that brings us to the present. And we have stepped into the Dollyverse. Here's one of Diana Vining's illustrations for our Tonner Fest event that is happening out here in 2023. And our last release of Grace was in December of 2020, and now here we are in mid-2023 getting ready to launch our new Graces. So we're gonna pull them out and look at them, and of course we have our beautiful photos from Ernesto at Dolldom Photography, but they are much different than anything we have ever done, and that is one of the most exciting things about a Grace release too, is that they're different. And I think that is one of the things that makes Robert such a genius, is that he can keep releasing the same doll, but in his way he makes them look so different. What he does with the Elo and Wild doll is for me the most impressive, because there are so many Elo and Wild dolls, even in this room right now that I'm looking at behind this camera, and they all look different even though they're the same doll. It is so cool. So the two dolls that we have now, I affectionately like to call them Freckles and Liz Taylor, because the one with the dark hair I think looks like Elizabeth Taylor, and then the other one, which Robert, we actually didn't come up with names. Robert put the name Natural on the one with the freckles, and he put the name Glamorous on the Liz Taylor one, which kind of works. So they're Amazing Grace Glam and they're Amazing Grace Freckles, and we'll come up with nicknames for them. But you know, Natural Freckles, I like that a lot, because to be able to see freckles on your skin, you have to have natural looking skin. It can't be covered in makeup, because makeup covers up all those beautiful freckles. So she's such a great doll. They're very, very light freckles. And we have our Glamorous doll that has a big red lip, dark, dark, dark wig, short, glamorous, voluptuous hair, and she looks a lot like Elizabeth Taylor. So I'm gonna go grab them. Okay, we're back with the dolls. They're so fresh, it's off the cutting room floor. Let's see what we got. So here's what the box looks like. It says Amazing Grace Natural, which again, we have affectionately named Freckles because she has freckles. You can call her Amazing Grace Natural. You can call her Amazing Grace Freckles. Call her whatever you want. It's your doll. So we're gonna get the out-of-box experience. So we're hoping to also in the future, I don't know, put a design on these boxes. They're just plain white boxes, but I love the way that they're packaged. Look at this. Because the RTB 101 body, this is how the Wonder Woman was delivered, and so they're in this box like this with the foam. These little cutouts are what we call our foamy dolls. The cutout that they do to create the space for the Grace. I love the inner eyeliner, this silver inner eye corner eyeliner. She has green eyes and reddish auburn hair and very, very light freckles. Hopefully we can get it. You can see that right there. Of course, we're going to show Ernesto's photos too. The produced dolls look just like the samples. They're absolutely beautiful. And this is the first time they have come in this particular chemise, which is just going to be great for an undergarment on a lot of our club fashions and a lot of our fashions coming up. This particular lace set looks really good with the multicolor tulle dress that we are going to be releasing with the club. But she is wonderful and totally different. Now let's take a look at Amazing Grace Glamour, also known as our Liz Taylor. When Robert had the sample of her, when I was chatting with him on the phone, he said, she looks a lot like Liz Taylor. And I was like, oh, well then we're going to be fine. If you grew up watching Liz Taylor movies, or if you're a fan of National Velvet, then you're going to like this doll. Here she is. This is what they look, this is just, I grabbed random. But I just love her dark, it's like black hair. Let's see that, that's black hair. Blue eyes, a red lip. We'll put these back together. You always have to play with the wigs. The wigs are never going to come out straight out of the box just like perfectly styled because they're pressed down. But here she is. Oh my gosh. She's wonderful. In my opinion. Let me know what you think. Great eyebrows. Great hair. Look at the hair. They have a totally different body than the Ella Wynn Wild body. She has a rubber rump, which is fun for dressing them. But if you don't like the rubber rump, just put some nylons on her, and then things won't get caught. But it's a very curvaceous body. She is super, super fun to sew for, and we have a lot of fun with her body and sewing with her. For her with Tamara Casey of Designs by Jude, and especially in the Club Grace. It's so exciting to be finally releasing new Graces. Before we get to our next segment, which is about Club Grace, oh my gosh, I did not highlight one of the most important details. Nails, girl. Bright red nails. And toes. So long overdue. When I asked Robert about it, I thought that he did it on purpose because Catherine Middleton, Princess Catherine, has natural nails. That's royalty protocol, is they have to have natural nails. And I think you very rarely see her with red nails. And he said he didn't think about it. It wasn't necessarily intentional. I thought it was intentional, so I was like, oh, well then we need a manicure and a pedicure, please. So now we have manicure pedicures on our dolls, and very, very grateful for that, because I definitely like nails done. Who doesn't like to have their nails done? So especially on our dolls, because they can always be done. So I hope you love that. For our Grace collectors, I hope we love this little enhancement. Also, the hands come off. And the torso comes off as well. So these are a lot easier to dress than some dolls. I don't recommend taking the hands out a million times or the torso apart a million times, because it does wear the body. She is a plastic toy, and they don't last forever, especially with a lot of hard wear and tear, but you can do that. And it does help with dressing in certain styles and outfits. I could really talk about Grace the entire day, or the entire week, or the entire month, and sometimes we do. So we can, of course, not talk about the whole history of everything we have done with Grace and the doll without talking about our club. When I launched the Club Grace, I forever wanted to do a doll subscription. And this is because I had done makeup subscriptions for years, where every month I received makeup or hair stuff in the mail, and I got to try out all different products and things that I would normally probably not choose for myself, or maybe wouldn't try. And I found so many products and different things that I loved. And just the act of unboxing something every month that was just for me, and I would sit there and I'd read about the makeup, and then I'd have a little beauty night and I would try it on, and it was fun. I loved it. At one point I had like 6 subscriptions. I had to eventually stop, and now I only have I think I only have 2 now. And that's plenty. And I still give a lot of makeup and products to my friends, but I was just getting too much makeup. Thankfully, we only have 1 subscription that is starting soon, but we are gonna have 2 subscriptions, one for Elowen as well. But the Grace subscription, I had originally ordered enough items for 100 spots, and I was so nervous. I had ordered 1,000 outfits, and it was so much money, and I jumped in, I did it. I partnered with our wonderful Diana Vining, who created the illustrations and the paper doll and the story. And we created an adventure in a box for our Grace subscriptions. You can see a lot of the Grace box unboxing videos on our YouTube channel, where you can really take a deep dive into the themes and the different things we have done. If you're a part of the subscription, I'd love to know what one of your favorite months and memories was. We have done the subscription now for 2 years. We are entering our 3rd year. We're not starting this month. We'll probably start next month. And thank you for all your patience to everybody who has been really patient with this. We've just had so many things going on, so many releases that we just can't do it all at once. And it's better for all of us and a lot of our pocketbooks too if we do it in stages. So we'll be announcing something on the Club Grace soon, but we are going to do a video where we give you some behind the scenes and real up close peeks on some of the clothing that we have scheduled for Club Grace. It takes months to make. It takes 9 months to a year to make the clothes, and it's worth it. It's worth the time. It's worth it. It is some of the most beautiful clothes, wonderful themes, and I'm just going to put some of the different outfits that we have done through the years of Club Grace on the screen. Our wonderful Ernesto, when he started photographing our clothes, that really made such a difference in just the overall experience. So a lot of these photos are by Ernesto at Daldom Photography, and you can just really see just some of the fun we have had. The clothes are just beautiful, and it's just such a wonderful experience that we get to share with everybody. Tamara Casey, she did a sewing pattern for our club, so every month we would get a sewing pattern that would a lot of times correspond with our theme of the month and the clothes we were doing. One of the things that I just love so much about the Club Grace subscription is how many people are involved, how many jobs it creates for not only the people producing the clothes, but also you're keeping so many of us in jobs with the running of the doll shop, with Diana Vining, with everything that it seeps down into the people that make our boxes and the trimmings and the shoes, and we worked with Marcia Friend, and we continue to work with her to create gorgeous shoes and accessories, and it just goes on and on and on. And it's so much fun. It is so much fun. And it really keeps us connected and with each other every month. We can really look forward to it. The unboxing of Club Grace is just always something that we count down to. We lose sleep over. And for me, it is thrilling and also sometimes scary, because I'm putting out something that I really love, but I think our 200 people gonna love it. Sometimes, once in a while, somebody doesn't love it, but it very, very rarely. Most of the time, everyone just loves it. And you have to enter into it with a grain of salt too, just kind of knowing it's going to be high quality, it's going to be really good, it's going to be really fun, but you're not going to just be completely connected with everything. The club boxes have been just a blast. We put in so many things. We put in snacks. This is sounding like a commercial for the boxes, which I guess it sort of is, but I'm not meaning for it to. It's a huge part of the Grace journey, and the Grace story is the club boxes. So we have a Club Grace case back here that is absolutely full of all the different club things we have done. I want to thank Robert Tonner for creating Sydney Chase, who is the blueprint of our Grace Marie Fitzpatrick doll. I cannot wait to have many, many, many more adventures with Grace, both through her fashions and her stories that are written by Diana Vining, that are just so beautiful and make me feel so good every single time. I really feel sometimes after I read Grace's stories that I can just do anything, and I feel good. I just feel good. It's something that we really love to do here at the shop too, and I think it's a really fun way to collect. Being a part, we have clubs for a reason, because we all like to do the same thing and talk about the same thing and be in a club. And so it's just been just so fun. Even for the people that don't get the boxes, we have a digital club too, and so just we can all be part. But I hope that you enjoyed hearing a bit of my story with the Grace doll, and seeing some of our journey and how we got here and where she started with the beautiful Sydney Chase, and now we have our Grace Marie Fitzpatrick. So, you know, we just, maybe one day we'll release Sydney too. And we have our Tonnerfest. Welcome to the Dollyverse. I don't know where I would even be without Diana Vining, who hand illustrates all of these incredible graphics and everything that she does for us. And of course, everybody that's involved with the virtual doll convention that helps us with programming and releases and buying things and doing stuff and always trying something new and always just having so much fun and being involved and sharing your opinions and opening up your pocketbooks and just doing the whole thing. So I hope you're having the best time here at our event. If you're watching this later after our event, thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in and subscribing. My big thing is that I want to promote doll collecting and the love of dolls, no matter what you come with to the table, no matter how old you are or your background or your identity or how much money you have, there is a place for you in the doll world to love and enjoy dolls, whether you're into modern, antique, vintage. Like, I love to do everything here, and so we do a lot of it. But the manufacturing of these dolls and being able to sell something on a larger scale where we can sell 200 of the same thing has just been a game changer for our little doll shop out here in Denver, Colorado. Without all of this, I don't even know where we would be. I didn't have a plan. I just went with my heart, and we're here, and we are still breaking down barriers and trying new things, and hopefully selling out arenas with everyone that's coming to our show. So we're just entirely grateful, and I want to thank you so much for watching. And if you have a Grace doll or you've purchased something from the Grace world, I want to thank you so much for that and being a part of our story. All right, thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you very soon. Bye.